So it looks like we got some bad news coming out from Destiny, aka Bungie. Now, Bungie is a developer that has quite the history, let's just say. And Bungie was known for doing great things. But unfortunately, for the last few years, Bungie has gone down the rabbit hole of DEI. There is no doubt about it. If you look at their website, you can see all the information you need regarding their beliefs, if you want to even call it that. But this particular company has gone down the rabbit hole of DEI, and their quality has absolutely suffered for it.
Ooh!
Now, the funny thing about all these companies focusing on DEI is that all of the shills that are out there on Twitter and on YouTube, none of them ever want to have the conversation about how the correlation between lack of quality and DEI focus has become a thing, right? If you see an increase in DEI focus at a particular company, for some reason, you also see a dip in quality with their products. They start to get even worse over time, and there has to be some sort of correlation to this, but they don't want to have that conversation because they don't want to admit that people are essentially at the core of it just diversity hires. That's all they are. And it's not me saying that. It's literally the company saying that. They hire these people based off DEI programs, which is essentially saying, I'm only hiring you for the color of your skin. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So we have a headline that reads, former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Hearn reacts to layoffs at Destiny developer Bungie, saying that they were self-inflicted. So apparently Bungie has fired about 17% of their workforce. That is a massive hit. That is not a small amount in the slightest, but it's also not shocking that they did this. And they'll try to blame everything else imaginable under the sun. And don't get it twisted, those things do matter. But the fact that they're trying to ignore the focus on DEI and the correlation that it has to bad quality, which obviously translates to less sales, nobody wants to talk about this. Everybody's ignoring it, and it just shows that they're going to try to pretend like it's not happening, right? They're going to basically cover their ears and close their eyes and pretend like none of this stuff is happening and keep doubling down on the nonsense that got them here in the first place. Former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Hearn, aka Grooms, reacted to Destiny developer Bungie, announcing that it was laying off around 17% of its staff, claiming that the layoffs were self-inflicted. Bungie CEO and chairman Pete Parsons announced that the layoffs in the blog post, stating, due to rising costs of development and industry shifts as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make a substantial change to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. He then declared that means that beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated. We're representing roughly 70% of our studio's workforce. These actions will affect every level of the company, including most of our executive and senior leader roles. Parsons later stated, I realize that this is all hard news, especially following the success that we have seen with the final shape. But as we've navigated the broader economic realities over the last year, and after exhausting all other mitigation options, this has become a necessary decision to refocus our studio and our business with more realistic goals and viable financials. So, again, get woke, go broke is a thing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I really don't know what to tell you other than that. Obviously, it's not just wokeness that are killing these companies, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the funds coming in, if you don't have the profits coming in, if you don't have the money flowing like you used to, you probably should be looking to cut the useless shit out of your game. At the end of the day, these DEI consultancy firms don't bring anything to the table. And it's not just me saying that. You said that, right? These companies love to say that the DEI consultancy firms don't do anything, right? Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do anything. Who else? Black Girl Gamers doesn't do anything, right? But the funny thing is, they do. Because what are you hiring them for if they don't do anything? I don't understand why you would want to spend money on a company that essentially doesn't do anything. That doesn't make any sense. So either they do something and you're paying for a service, or you're trying to gaslight people to think they don't do anything because they're the ones that are really trying to recommend a lot of this bullshit to take place in the first place. It's got to be one of the two. There's nothing in between. You can't do nothing and then take credit for everything, right? You can't do that. Then it says that next Parsons explained 2 other changes the company would be making. First, we are deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, working to integrate 155 of our roles, roughly 12%, into SIE over the next few quarters. SIE has worked tirelessly with us to identify roles for as many people as possible, enabling us together to save a great deal of talent that would otherwise have been affected by the reduction in force. What I do think is interesting is that whenever they fire people over on Twitter, right, or whenever they announce layoffs, the people who are getting fired, they find out they're getting fired on Twitter. Isn't that sad? Like, your company, your AAA multi-million-dollar company has decided to announce your firing on Twitter. And then you have people who quote tweet it and say, well, I just found out that I'm getting fired from this tweet. Isn't that fucking sad? Right? It's hilarious to me that they do this. And yet this is a company that is trying to preach to you about diversity, equity, and inclusion, about how everybody matters. But then they're over here firing people on Twitter and not even telling them beforehand. So then it says, second, we are working with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development, he added. Parsons has went on to explain how Bungie got to the point where it appears to be completely imploding. For over 5 years, it has been our goal to ship games in 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambition, we had to set up several incubation projects, each seated with senior development leaders from our existing teams. We eventually realized that this model stretched our talent too thin, too quickly. It also forced our studio support structures to scale to a larger level that we could realistically support, given our 2 primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. Additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into broad economic slowdown, a sharp downturn in the games industry, our quality miss with Destiny 2, Lightfall, and the need to give both the final shape and Marathon the final time it needed to ensure both projects deliver at the quality our players expect and deserve. We were overly ambitious, our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we began running in the red, he elaborated. Well, I mean, that's quite simply because you guys decided to spend money on dumb shit, right? Like, why are you hiring DEI consultancy firms? What do you need a DEI consultancy firm to create a space shooter is beyond me, right? Like, what do you need? You need to make sure you got black people represented in space. You need to make sure you got Latinos represented in space. I don't give a fuck about being represented in space. I just want to play a space shooter. That's what I care about. But at the end of the day, man, they need to do it with virtue signaling at the forefront, because that's how they run their company. And that's why they are losing money left and right, on top of obviously mismanaging themselves. Maybe you wouldn't be mismanaging yourself if you were more focused on the finances, if you were more focused on actually delivering a good product that's going to sell, instead of worrying about DEI and how much, you know, XYZ matters or whatever bullshit social justice that you guys are paying to support. After this new trajectory became clear, we knew we had to exchange our course and speed, and we did everything we could to avoid today's outcome. Parsons wrote, I highly doubt that, because you didn't fire the diversity consultancy firms. Did you? Because I asked that question over there on Twitter when they posted about this. I said, quite simply, did this involve firing the DEI consultants that you work with every day as well? Or are their jobs safe? Chances are I already know the answer to that question. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.